Hello and welcome to Basic Song Service Guitar, lesson number 4. Let's get started. Alright, so welcome to lesson number 4. In this video, I'm going to be covering some more complex types of chords that are more challenging than just the standard chords that I went over in my chord video. Just something to help you guys progress and be able to play some of those other chords that might seem more challenging or that you may not know how to play just yet. So with that, let's go ahead and get started, all right? So the first thing I want to talk about is most of the chords that we've learned, in fact, all the chords that we've learned so far have all just been, standard positions with your hands, just various positions. I just call them basic types of chords. But there are types of chords out there that aren't so easy to play with just, a variety of fingering positions. What's required is what's called a bar. So you'll see here at the top of the neck of the guitar, this is called the nut of the guitar or a bar. Now this does indeed act as a bar for the remaining, for the remaining frets and the strings. And of course, however you press them down, the combination that you use will determine the sound that comes out. So that's how we get a chord. Well, you have this entire neck of the guitar, and it is possible to play chords all the way up the neck of the guitar. Now, realistically, that doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. It, of course, depends on the type of music you're playing. Just a lot of factors that factor into how much you're going to be using your fretboard. You guys have probably seen some video clips of solo guitar playing, and they're ripping these solos and they're way up here on the neck of the guitar. Well, you do use those. That's what these frets are for, is to get sound all the way up the guitar. But you can also play some more types of chords as well. And it's important to understand the note values on the guitar to be able to understand the types of chords that you can play. So I want to tap into that a little bit in this video. So for starters, one of the things I want to introduce is that, as I mentioned before, this is the bar or the nut of the guitar. And so what you can actually do for a select number of chords is you can actually carry a chord position, but now you're going to be using your index finger to replace this bar. All right, so for example, this is an E chord, all right? If you're not familiar with just standard chords, I encourage you to look at my second guitar lesson video, go over chords, and also there's a PDF on the website that has a little bit of a chord diagram to help you guys out, all right? But here we have a standard E. Now, if I were to move up, it no longer is an E because all the note values that I'm pressing down have changed, all right? So what we then need to understand is that if you want to carry a chord value but still maintain this E position, you're going to implement the use of your index finger as a bar. All right, so this is where it gets kind of challenging because it's going to require some strength development, if you will. You're going to have to get some strength in your index finger because essentially what you're doing is you're pressing down just about all 6 strings as if you were replacing this top bar of the guitar, all right? So if I were to take this E chord and move it up, all of the notes up 1 fret, keep the same exact chord position, and include my bar, that E chord moves up to an F chord, all right? So what you want to do is you want to, just like in the guitar chord video in the second lesson, I believe I touched on it some in the third lesson as well, you want to make sure that you're pressing down as much as possible. This is where the challenge comes in, is you want to bar that entire first fret. All right? And so what we're going to do, I'm just going to play it out for you. Every single note. So you might recognize, or you might notice when you first try a bar chord, the notes that are being barred might sound kind of muted. So, just adjust your fingers accordingly. I don't know if you can see in the other angle here, but my index finger is not totally flat. It's actually slightly turned. Maybe you might say a 45 or 15 degree angle, but it just slightly turned, and that just kind of gives me a little more leverage on being able to press down all the strings while still being able to play the chord position with the rest of my fingers. All right? So this is an F chord. Now if I were to move up another fret, this becomes an F sharp. All right? And so it's, you know, it just goes up in increments. One of the things about music is it's not just A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it starts over. There are notes in between A through G, and those are called sharps and flats. And so there's a couple instances where there is no in-between notes, but the rest of them do have in-between. So what I'll do is I'll give you a diagram of how these should look. All right, so with that, let's keep going. Here we have, if we move up, this was an F sharp as I mentioned before. If you move up another fret, this is now a G chord, a bar G. So you might remember, hey, I know how to play a G chord, but the way I play it is a little bit different. If I were to move my fingers to a standard G chord, it sounds pretty much the same. It's because it is the same. It's the same chord. You're just playing a different combination of notes to produce that same sound, all right? Move up again. This now becomes an A flat. This is an A. Same idea. You've learned an A. Same chord, same sound. Some of the notes are a little bit higher up, but it's still the same chord all the same, all right? So you can keep going up, you know, lock those bar chords in. That's one standard position, is going off of the E chord position. The other position that you can use is an A chord position, all right? So you might recall we learned how to play an A just like this, 3 fingers. Well, it's going to be very difficult to carry 3 fingers and a bar. So one of the things that you can do is you can use 2 fingers. You're going to use your index finger and you're going to use your ring finger, all right? So instead of trying to press down those 3 strings with 3 fingers, now you're going to kind of smash them, if you will, with your ring finger, all right? Make sure you're only pressing down strings 2, 3, and 4. And then what you're going to do is you're going to bar the rest. So here, an A is on the 2nd fret, and remember, your bar's up at the top. So then what we're going to do is we're going to move those strings up to the 3rd fret, and we're going to bar that 1st fret now, all right? Now in this case, this one's very hard to produce a clear sound on all 6 strings. So what we're going to do is we're going to start our bar not from the 6th string on up. We're going to go from the 5th string on up, all right? So here we go. I'm starting at string 5. So really the only note you're really focusing on is this 5th string here from the bar perspective, all right? And then you're going to try to press down all 3 strings with your ring finger, okay? Generally, you just kind of hit the 4 middle strings if you can. This last string will generally be muted anyway. So if you strum down, it's almost like you can't even hear that last muted string, all right? So this is now, if you're going from an A, you're going to move up the chord chart, if you will. And so this now becomes a B flat. If I were to move up again, this is a B. That instance, B and C, there's no in between, so we're going to go from a B to a C. We've learned a C before. This is a standard C. Same sound. You have a C sharp, D, E flat, E. All right? Same idea. Both of those are E's, all right? So it's good to learn some of your bar chords, I would say about 5 to 7 frets up, because there are times where you'll play a song. In fact, there's a few songs that we have in our song service that have an E flat chord. And it's not fun to play, but as you practice it, you'll get familiar. So there are times where I'm playing my chords down here, and I jump up to my E flat chord. So that's the cool thing about music is in whatever key you're playing in, the chords stay common. You're not going to get like a super large variety of chords. you're going to just get a select, group of chords that will generally repeat themselves. And so if you plan your song services ahead of time, that's a great idea to be able to practice those songs and get familiar with those chords if you're brand new at this. And so practice, I would say 5 to 7 frets up with your bar chords, and you'll be good from there, all right? So that aside, let's go to the third type of bar chord. So this one is actually how you would do minor chords, or barring minor chords, all right? So in this case, we're going to play an A minor. You might recall it's very similar, the exact fingering position of an E. You're just moving all your fingers up a string. So there's your A minor, all right? So pretend that you're going to have to switch all your fingers, and you're going to pretend that you're barring that, even though it's already barred with the nut of the guitar. This is an A minor. We're going to move up. This is now a B flat minor. This one you can go ahead and strum all the strings on because now you have a few more strings exposed. You're only pressing 3 strings with your A minor position, and so you have 3 other strings that are left open. So press them down as best you can. And make your adjustments as necessary. I'm almost right on the bar too, so I'm just a hair behind it. In fact, my finger is semi-touching it. You don't want to be right on top of it because it'll mute the strings. You want to be just behind that fret bar, okay? And so this is a B flat minor. We're going to move up. This is a B minor. We move up again. This is now a C minor because there's no in between with your from your B to your C chords. All right, so this is a C minor. Moving up, C sharp minor, and a D minor. All right, moving up again. This is an E flat minor and an E minor. All right, a lot of these chords in general song service music you won't really play. But it's important to know how to play these because when they do show up, because sometimes they will, you'll be able to play them, all right? Just as a heads up, some of the most common bar chords you will run into, one is an E flat. You'll also run into Bs, B minors. You'll run into C sharp minor a lot of times if you have a song in the key of E. Generally, you'll hit a C sharp minor from time to time. Also, you'll play F a lot if you have songs in the key of F. This is one of the pain points for me personally. I don't have a large range, and I do lead our songs here. So one of the things I do is I drop our songs. And so consequently, a lot of the songs that we sing are in the key of F. And so when it comes to playing guitar songs in the key of F, it's a little bit challenging, but it is doable. And so that's why I say, practice, develop that finger strength, and you'll get there, all right? So one of the things I encourage you to do when it comes to practicing your bar chords is to, of course, take your time, but do it in small increments. Practice some bar chords for about 5 minutes. Your fingers will probably be nice and tired after that point. Take the rest of the day off or practice some other things on the guitar, strumming patterns, songs, or whatever. The next day, make it a point, a daily thing, 5 minutes, and then increase it, 7 to 10 minutes a day, just memorizing and learning all your bar chords. The more you use repetition, the more you repeat your practicing, it'll just begin to lock in. And so, take that and get those bar chords locked in, all right? So you might have looked at some sheet music. Some people are into doing covers, changing the words, using them, in concert scenes, ministry purposes, and that's fine. But one of the things you'll begin to notice over time is that, as I mentioned in the beginning, there's tons and tons and tons of chords out there. And so one of the things I encourage you to do is, if you can, get your hands on a chord book. You can purchase one at your local music store if you have one nearby, or you can also download apps. There are tons of apps out there that give guitar chords, tons of varieties of guitar chords. You'll run into different types of complex chords like sevenths, an E7, a C7, major sevens, minor sevens. You'll run into what are called split chords, where you have a chord on the right hand, on the left hand. It is possible to play a lot of these chords on guitar. Split chords are generally for like piano playing, but some smart people out there figured out how to play a lot of these chords on guitar. And so, I encourage you, get a book, download an app, get some sheet music from church, and just practice every variety of chord that you possibly can. Memorize them, lock them in. One of the things is that guitars doesn't have as strong of a, what I call a scientific approach, or as much of like a method approach, if you will, where like it does on piano, where everything just kind of flows in one direction. Guitar, it requires a little more memorization. And so that's why I encourage you, practice some of these complex chords, get the chord chart book. That way you just begin to expose yourself to this more and more and more. And over time, it will become second nature. You'll be able to look at a piece of sheet music and go, oh, I know how to play an F chord. I know how to play, an F sharp or an A minor or a B flat minor, some of these bar chords. You'll be able to know, or just even figure out where they belong on the guitar. All right? And so the last thing I just want to mention in closing this video is matching your guitar playing to a song. I don't think it's something I've really covered in past videos, but I just want to touch on it a little bit now at the close of this video. Something that's really important, we've taught chords, we've taught strumming patterns. It's not just about strum, 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 switch chords, strum, 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 switch chords. You got to play those chords at the right time. And so if you have a good piece of song service music, that piece will tell you when you should switch the chords. There are times where you switch the chords right on a word, right when the word is said. You switch to an E right when we say Jesus. Or there are times where you'll switch chords in between words. There are times where you'll play multiple chords over the span of one word. G, E, zus, right? G, D, C. You can play multiple chords over one word because that word is stretched out over a longer length of time. And so check your sheet music and begin to practice switching your chords when they're supposed to be played, of course, while maintaining your strumming pattern and, of course, playing the right chords. It's all important. So it might seem kind of complex and difficult, but again, it's one of those things that as you practice over time, you'll pick it up pretty quickly. One of the things I encourage you to do is, again, start with slow music. Start with slow songs. Pick up Create in Me, Jesus Lover of My Soul, any type of song you might have in your church. And then what you can do is you can sing the song out loud in your head, however you prefer. Don't worry about your strumming patterns, but focus on when is this chord supposed to be played in relation to the music, in relation to the words being sung. All right? That way you're able to develop more practice in timing, in recognizing when things are supposed to be played, playing them at the right time. All right? And so with that, that's all I wanted to go over in this video. We do have one more guitar lesson video, guitar lesson number 5. And with that, what I want to do is I want to just expose you to some things that I like to include that just kind of add style, personality, just a little touch of flair, just to liven up the song service, the music a little bit. And so that's why I encourage you, practice your chords, practice your strumming, practice your bar chords, practice to some music. That way when we get to that 5th lesson, I'm able to show you some things that I like to do that just make it fun to play guitar, and like I said, makes it sound a little bit nicer. All right. And so with that, we're going to bring it to a close. Thank you guys for watching this video. Those of you who have been watching all the videos, I'm grateful. Those of you who have helped share and spread the word about this channel, for that I am grateful as well. I do ask that you continue to help spread the word, tell people throughout our fellowship. Wherever you may be, shoot someone a text. Hey, I heard you're trying to learn guitar or drums or piano or trying to build a song service or whatever. Let them know they can come here. And also, if there are any questions related to song service, related to music, even related to the tech side of, sound or whatever the case may be, you're welcome to shoot them my way. I encourage it because if there's questions out there that, pioneer pastors might have, disciples in the church might have, shoot them my way, because I could post a video and that might answer questions for a number of other people that might have the same question. So you can reach out to me at worldcfmmusic@gmail.com, or you can also visit the website where you'll see the PDF for this lesson, and that's going to be at www.worldcfmmusic.com. All right? And so with that, that's all we have for this lesson. I thank you again, and we'll see you on the next video.